All right, we should be good to go. We should be back in the building. Let me see how the people are looking up in here. Let me know if y'all are good. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me and hear me. Wow, we are back in here on this Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, by the way, on Christmas Eve. Is that a thing? Christmas Eve. I don't know. We're going to get into it here in a second. Welcome to everybody that's just joining us, and welcome to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Show. I'm your host, ClassE, at patreon.com/ClassEbeats, by the way. The link is in the description as well as in the pinned comments in the chat. By the way, we've got some exciting things coming up for y'all in the Patreon. So if you haven't joined the Patreon, please make sure y'all go over there and click the link in the description, because it's going to be a fun time going into 2026. So make sure y'all check that out for the new year. Also, I got to say what's up to the people before we get into it as well. Shout out to everybody that's in here and you amazing folks who make this show the great place that it is. And shout out to great. Speaking of great, I got to give it up to my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E in here in the building this morning, bright and early, doing what she does. That's be amazing. So thank you for being here, Amy. Thank you for everything that she does. So much Amy contributes to the show while managing and running another YouTube channel as well. It's insane. Big shout out to Amy. She had an amazing premiere this morning on her YouTube channel, so make sure y'all go check that out. The link is in the description. We'll also drop it in the chat for y'all as well. Taco Tuesday is in here. Shout out to Taco Tuesday. Les Cleaver is in the building as well. Excuse me. We got Mr. Brown, my guys in here. Virginia Wiley, good morning to y'all. We ain't got no quit. One of my favorite usernames of all time is in the building as well, and Alice is in here too. So good to see y'all this morning. Thank you all for being here. I know everyone's excited and getting ready for Christmas. We're gonna celebrate little baby Jesus's birthday. He's not a baby anymore, but you know, that's what we celebrating today. Shout out to everyone who's going to be celebrating Christmas. Also, I know a lot of you are going to be celebrating Hanukkah, so hopefully y'all have happy holidays as well. Exciting stuff going on here, and we're going to talk about it today as well. Please do me one favor. I don't ask for much on this channel, but the one thing that I do ask is that you all like the video on your way in. Likes are free. It helps the channel continue to grow. Lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show. Shares this live stream, all the videos we have here on the channel, and the entire channel with more people. So I know there's already 600 of y'all that have liked the video so far. Thank you. Thank y'all for doing that. Also, if you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video as well. All you have to do is click the share button. It's got an arrow that's curved pointing to the right. That allows you to share the video to text message, your group chat. You can share it to Instagram, Facebook, X, any social media platform you're on. So thank you to those of you who do that. I see so many of y'all regularly sharing out the video, and it's so appreciated, because y'all don't know how much that really helps the channel and what we're doing here continue to grow. Also, anyone who sends in a super chat, I will be reading your super chats on the show. So thank you to everyone that does that. We don't ask for super chats, but it is definitely appreciated. And I appreciate so much of y'all that help keep the lights on here on the morning show. It's an afternoon show today, but we still gonna get into it. So I'm not gonna waste any more of y'all's time. We're gonna go ahead and get into our first topic. We got a lot going on today, including an exclusive report I'm going to talk about. I have a source that gave me some information on what's going on with this Cardi B lawsuit. So we're going to get into that shortly. Make sure y'all stick around for that. And as always, we've got a lot of content to get into as well. Let me actually make sure we're good to go, and I've got everything here. Again, thank y'all so much to everybody that likes the video. That is a huge help to the channel. So I appreciate y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it and talk about Tyler Robinson. We've been covering everything that happened with the Charlie Kirk assassination, leading up to the assassination, at the time of the assassination, and now that Tyler Robinson is awaiting trial. We've been in and out of court multiple times. Most recently, the last time we saw this court proceeding, Tyler Robinson was in court, and the media got in a little bit of trouble with the judge because they captured some shackles. They showed Tyler Robinson the way he wasn't supposed to be shown. And they even captured audio from the defense table, which was insane. This was all set up for failure at the beginning. So eventually you guys can see this picture here. The camera was located right next to the defense table. The judge ordered it to be moved, and there wasn't a mistrial or anything like that, as dramatic as the defense wanted. And now we should be good to go, supposedly. But now Tyler Robinson just filed another motion asking for the prosecution to be removed. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to get into it here shortly. We're going to hear from a couple of different outlets and read some articles trying to figure out what's going on and what Tyler Robinson wants. Shout out to Amy for posting this over on X. If you don't follow Amy on X, please make sure you do that. You can follow her at IAMYLEIGH. That's at IAmyLee on X. She says this about Tyler Robinson. Family ties. The defense attorneys for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk want the entire Utah County Attorney's Office removed from the case. Are you serious? A court filing claims the senior prosecutor had a family member in attendance at the event where the shooting occurred and alleges the office's personal connections to the crime allowed emotions to influence the decision to seek the death penalty. They're already trying to get this in another venue. I don't know what's been the decision on that so far. We haven't seen anything yet. And as far as we know, it's going to stay right here. We'll have to see what the judge says about this. Let's hear from Fox News and see what's going to happen with this Tyler Robinson case and if it's going to be moved. Also, shout out to the Patriot Oasis says Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, has filed a motion to remove the state's prosecutor from the case. Robinson's team says the prosecutor received text from a relative after the shooting. Sounds like Robinson's team is trying to delay. Let's see what's going on here.
Lawyers for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk are now trying to get a Utah County prosecutor kicked off the case. They claim the unnamed attorney has a conflict of interest over, quote, personal connections to a witness. Senior correspondent Jonathan Siri is live with the developing story. Hi, Jonathan.
Yeah, hi there, Rich. Lawyers for Charlie Kirk's accused killer filed this motion under seal back on December 10. The court in more recent days has issued a version with the names redacted. In the motion, it argues that one of the prosecutors received texts from a relative witnessing the chaos and the immediate aftermath of Kirk's assassination during a September 10 speaking engagement at Utah Valley University. The defense team argues in this case, the personal relationship between the prosecutor, whose name has been redacted, and his relative, a potential witness and victim, raises serious concerns about past and future prosecutorial decision-making in this case. The prosecutor cannot serve two masters and should not be permitted to do so, they argue. Additionally, the defense team says that prosecutors rushed to seek the death penalty against Tyler James Robinson shows strong emotional reactions that may have been augmented by their colleagues' family ties.
Well, I mean, he did kill somebody, so seeking the death penalty automatically, I think that's somewhat justified. But hey, it's Utah. We'll have to wait and see.
To someone who watched this event unfold. According to the motion, the prosecutor in question, quote, has stated to Mr. Robinson's counsel that his relative will not be a witness for the state and that he does not believe that his circumstance presents a conflict precluding him from participating in the prosecution of Mr. Robinson. Obviously, the defense disagrees. Both sides will argue their case before the judge at the next in-person hearing, which is scheduled for January 16th.
All right, so we've got a January 16th hearing coming up. Y'all know we're going to be covering it here. Let's actually get into a little bit more detail from Law and Crime, and I'll leave a link to this full video in the description and find out what exactly could happen here with Tyler Robinson and if he even has a chance of winning this motion. I don't think so. I think the motion will be dismissed and we're going to keep moving forward because, again, it's the prosecution. Maybe it would be a conflict of interest if it was someone on the defense team. But seeing that here, the prosecution already believes Tyler Robinson is guilty. Let's see what they have to say.
There could be a big problem with the prosecution team in Charlie Kirk's murder case, and it has to do with someone apparently pretty high up on the food chain on the team. Important enough that this person was with the county attorney when evidence was being presented to the grand jury to indict Tyler Robinson. Robinson faces a laundry list of charges, including aggravated murder and the possibility of the death penalty if he's convicted in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Robinson is accused of taking a .30-06 rifle that his grandfather gave to him to the campus of Utah Valley University and climbing onto a roof and firing a single shot that hit Kirk in the neck as he was answering a question from a member of the audience during his Prove Me Wrong tour on September 10th.
Allegedly.
Kirk was killed instantly. The scene was horrific. A manhunt for the killer began in an instant. There were false alarms, with news of an arrest being announced by the FBI director within hours. But then the manhunt was on again. Surveillance images of a young man in a black t-shirt were released, along with video of a person running on a rooftop and jumping from it. More than 30 hours later, officials in Utah announced that 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was the shooter, his family reportedly recognizing him and convincing him that turning himself in was the right thing to do. Hints of a motive surfaced from County Attorney Jeff Gray.
Which was weird in the first place.
Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home homesick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate.
Now, the internet has been full of theories questioning whether Robinson was the only person involved or whether he was the shooter at all. Some questioning those text messages that he sent to his transgender roommate that amount to a confession.
Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it.
Wow.
I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm gonna have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN. Not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent.
Earlier this month, we saw Tyler Robinson in a Utah County courtroom for the very first time, and his team mentioned that they saw issues with the prosecution team and would ask to have them removed.
We do need to deal with the disqualification motion, just in case. So it doesn't seem like a good idea to set it before we have the disqualification hearing. I mean, we're only talking about a month from now. I think that should probably be resolved before we set any
I don't think it's going to happen.
But I am concerned about setting a date when we still don't have all the discovery material.
So what's the issue here? Well, Tyler Robinson's attorneys claim that a member of the prosecution team has a personal connection to a direct witness to the crime, so they want
Uh-oh.
the entire prosecution team disqualified from handling the case. Robinson's attorneys wrote, Mr. Robinson seeks an order of this court finding that a person whose name is redacted, representing the state of Utah for the Utah County Attorney's Office, or UCAO, in this capital prosecution has a concurrent conflict of interest based upon personal connections to a direct witness/victim to the events at issue in this case. Further, Mr. Robinson seeks findings from this court that, one, upon learning of the conflict, the UCAO did not employ any screening protocol, and number two, information pertaining to the personal involvement of the man whose name is redacted was shared amongst the assigned prosecutorial team, including the county attorney. Based
Again, this feels weird because they already believe he's guilty. So is it going to bias them any more towards Tyler Robinson? What's the point here? I don't
upon
get
these
it.
findings, and in the interest of protecting Mr. Robinson's federal and state rights to due process, Mr. Robinson requests that this court order that the UCAO is disqualified from representing the state in this matter. Now, it's
How?
been noted previously, even by the judge in this case, that 3,000 people witnessed Charlie Kirk's murder on the UVU campus. But according to Robinson's attorneys, only one has a relationship with a member of the prosecution team. Robinson's lawyers wrote, in this case, the personal relationship between the prosecution team member's name, who is redacted, and the other person's name, who is redacted, is a potential witness, and the victim raises serious concerns about past and future prosecutorial decision-making in this case. The prosecution team member cannot serve two masters and should not be permitted to do so. The prosecution team member's integrity is not the question, and his opinion that there is no conflict is not dispositive. Rather, the person he has a relationship with's experience raises an objective question as to whether or not the circumstance presents a significant risk that the prosecution team member's personal family interests may materially limit his ability to represent the state of Utah in these proceedings in the manner that is ethically required. And apparently, this person on the prosecution team received a text message about the shooting that day from a family member. The prosecution team member has described the text message exchange as follows. Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 p.m. and at 12:25 p.m. texted my family group text group, someone got shot. And almost immediately afterward texted the same group, I'm okay, everyone is going inside. At 12:26 p.m., texted the same group, Charlie got shot. At 12:30 p.m., this person texted the same group, people say he was shot in the neck and his head like tilted or something. At 12:33 p.m.,
Dang.
the prosecution team member texted his family member, did you hear a gunshot or what sounded like a gunshot? And the person responded to me at 12:38 p.m., I for sure heard it. Everyone started screaming and running. A few people said they saw the shot hit his neck. Not sure. The
Okay,
prosecution team member believes that
I'm going to need to hear from our resident attorneys on the channel. What is the big deal? I don't get it. I don't get how this is a conflict of interest. The prosecution has seen every single piece of evidence that could possibly implicate Tyler Robinson and his guilt. If anything, these text messages could be used as evidence in the case. Now, again, the person on the prosecution team, they're not going to testify, so I'm not sure how this would matter. The person who was a witness to this maybe have to testify at some point, possibly. But again, they're going to have their own bias because they were there and involved. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. It seems like a whole lot of nothing, and maybe the defense team delaying are either that or I'm missing something, which is most likely because from the legal side, I'm not seeing the conflict of interest here. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. What do y'all think, man? We got 13,000 of y'all up in this thing. Thank you to everybody who's liked the video so far. Guys, I don't ask for much on this channel, but I do beg and plead that you like the video. It's free. It takes less than a second and it helps us out a lot. So I know nearly half of y'all have done that already. So thank you so much. And I do want to read a couple super chats in here. Shout out to Mr. Brown. Just showing love for the holidays with the Christmas spirit. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. I appreciate you. Just found out last week, Mr. Brown is cancer free. Praise God. Thank you so much. The prayers are being answered. And I know Mr. Brown's putting in the work and taking care of his health, resting, recovering. Glad to see it, man. Glad you're still hanging out with us too, Mr. Brown. And thank you for the support as always as well. And we're going to keep moving and get into our next topic because we've got to talk about what's going on with Nick Reiner. Am I saying that right? I always have to pause before I say his name because y'all killed me. I mean, I guess I shouldn't use that terminology, but y'all were not letting up on the fact that I pronounced it wrong last time. So I am sorry. It is Reiner. All right. I think I've got it. Nick Reiner in here, and we're going to talk about an update with Nick. This whole story and this whole situation is getting weird, and we're going to talk about it in a second as soon as I can find Nick's picture. I know I did a picture of him earlier, so I just got to look for it. Again, thank you all for liking the video so far. Really, really helps out a ton. So thank y'all so much. And let's go ahead and get into it. So now we've got some new updates from TMZ, and we've got a legal document from our very own Amy E. on the Nick Reiner situation. As many of you know, Nick Reiner is alleged to have murdered his mother and father in their home shortly after there was an incident and an argument with them the night before. Now, the parents were found by his sister. I believe it's Romy is how her name is pronounced. And then Nick was implicated in the murder. One, because he had recently changed his meds. He got in an argument with them. And we found out that Nick was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia, which really changes everything about this case. Alan Jackson is Nick's defense attorney. So we're going to be hearing from a lot about Alan Jackson and a lot from Alan Jackson on this. But TMZ has some new updates when it comes to the Nick Reiner case. Let's go ahead and see what they say. And then we'll read the legal document we have from Amy. Check this out.
A documentary for Fox Network on Nick Reiner's case. And got to tell you, this schizophrenia diagnosis, by the way, he didn't just develop schizophrenia. He has had schizophrenia for years, we're told.
It's sad.
And the diagnosis of that is going to be so important in this case. And
I said
part
this
of it
last
has
time.
to do with the way the mental health system works. So somebody who has schizophrenia often self-medicates, and Nick clearly did that, from heroin to cocaine to various stimulants, all sorts of things. What happens is that somebody gets diagnosed with schizophrenia, but they self-medicate and they become a drug addict. And then in these rehab facilities, and he went to 18 of them, what they end up doing is they end up treating the addiction to the drugs and not dealing with, ignoring, or not even understanding the underlying schizophrenia, the underlying mental illness. So the person gets clean, goes out, has the underlying disease untreated, and then they go back to their old habits to self-medicate.
And not to mention that when you're going to these different facilities, your medication and everything can get changed up. It can get changed. It can get adjusted. You try something new here. Let's do a different treatment there. It's just a whole messed up, sad system, sad situation to be in as well.
That's when it becomes this revolving door. And that's what happened to Nick Reiner. He was treated for addiction over and over and over. But the schizophrenia largely went untreated. And when it did get treated, what happens is that there's a whole community that is dealing with the way doctors treat mental illness like schizophrenia. So what they do is they'll give you a drugs, and those drugs have side effects.
Yeah.
And then if they end up in rehab or with another doctor, or even with the same doctor that prescribed the drugs, they will look at the side effects not as a side effect to the drugs, but something organic to the schizophrenia. So they're looking at a side effect saying this is connected to their problem with schizophrenia and not realizing it's really related to the medication. And it becomes this snowball that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. and they end up not getting the treatment they need to right themselves, to stabilize themselves.
Yeah, so you combine the addiction and the self-medication with the issues they're having, and you've just got a whole bundled up mess of mental issues, side effects. Sad to see, man.
So
really sad.
all of this becomes such a problem. And then on top of everything else, you know, I interviewed a psychiatrist who said that there are 400 rehab centers in Los Angeles.
Wow.
He refers to 4 of them. He will make referrals to 4 of them. 1%.
Wow.
And why? Well, when you look at the ones that are $70,000 a month, what are they offering? They're offering, you know, luxury treatments. They're offering swimming
Golf course.
pools and camping,
Tennis.
and scenic views. And what a lot of people are saying in the mental health field is none of that matters. And it actually can hurt, because rehab is not meant to be soft. It needs to be a hard experience to confront a lot of things that are more than uncomfortable. And there are a lot of doctors in the healthcare industry who think that, number one, no place should be charging that kind of money. And number two,
That's insane.
the places that are and are trying to justify it with luxury are not the places you want to be. Nick went to several of those places at the very least. And I will tell you that in doing our documentary, there are people who are saying that it actually can hurt people if they have a lot of money, where they can send a loved one to a place that is trying to make people feel good and comfortable, because that's not the point of rehab. The point of rehab is to stabilize somebody. And for mental illness, as I've been told from people we're talking to, good luck trying to deal with that in 30 days. This is...
Yeah, imagine the entitlement. And it really, if you think about the way this is set up, it gives you a sense of, why do you need to get better? There's no point in getting better. You're going to get help. You're going to have your hand held. You're going to get to go to a place to where you can recover, take a vacation, back to normal life.
It's not a 30-day quick solution. So add up all those things. Add up the diagnosis. Add up the side effects to drugs, and mistaking the side effects for the disease itself. Add up the fact that people self-medicate, and then they go to rehab that treats them for the addiction and never deals with the underlying problem. Add in the fact that there are charlatans out there in the rehab community, and that some of these places that charge a king's ransom are doing the addict and the mentally ill no favors. So I get back to what, based on what I'm hearing, is almost certainly going to be Nick's defense, not guilty by reason of insanity.
And he's most likely going to get away with it, which is probably why we saw what we saw from Alan Jackson taking on this case. So let's get into this document here. Shout out to Amy for sending this over. She does so much work behind the scenes. And if y'all don't follow Amy on X, please make sure you do that. You can follow her at IAMYLEIGH on X. That's at IAmyLee on X. She sent this to me and says, what do we have here? We've got the Superior Court, the state of California, for the county of Los Angeles. The underside is informed and believes that count 1, on or about December 14th, 2025, not more than a week ago, in the county of LA, the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187, a felony, was committed by Nick Reiner, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Michelle Reiner, a human being. Notice, the above offenses is a serious felony within the meaning of Penal Code, and we're not going to read all that, 1192 will say, and a violent felony within the meaning of Penal Code 667. 6-7. Notice, upon a felony conviction from the above offense, prison custody time is to be served in the state prison based on the above felony offense being a serious felony defined in the Penal Code 1192 and or a violent felony in the Penal Code 667, or a felony offense requiring registration as an offender pursuant to the Penal Code 290. This is interesting because seeing that this is included in here, did something else happen and something else go on? Maybe we'll find that out. Obviously, Nick is accused of the murder of his father too, and they say on December 14th at the same time, the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code 187, a felony was committed by Nick, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Robert Reiner, a human being, and his father. Wow. Notice the above offense is a serious felony within the meaning of Penal Code section, again, 1192. And we'll keep going here. And it also could require him to register as a defender, and further allege as to counts 1 and 2 that the offenses charged in count 1 and 2 are a special circumstance within the meaning of Penal Code 190. It is further alleged as to counts 1 and 2 that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, murder, the said defendant, Nick Reiner, personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, a knife, said use not being an element of the above offense within the meaning of Penal Code 120/22, and causing the above offense to be a serious felony within Penal Code 1192. So here's what happened, and they've got all the complaints here. They've got conviction of this offense, require the defendant to give DNA samples. What else? Intent to present evidence to seek a jury finding. Suspected child abuse report may have been generated within the meaning of Penal Code 11,166 and 68, which is interesting here. An allegation making a defendant ineligible to serve at state prison sentence in the county jail, not be subject to dismissal, and then a bunch of other regulatory stuff. All right. And then they said, and they have the Davis book, no bail has been recommended yet. And we saw Alan Jackson say that they are waiving their right to a speedy trial. Got a lot of experts going to hear from, a lot of mental health evaluations are going to be done. Interesting to see how this is playing out. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Not guilty by reason of insanity. It looks like Nick, I don't want to say get away with this because this man was clearly sick. And he also, I believe, knew what he was doing. What a mess, man. What an absolute mess and sad situation. Thank y'all again to everybody that's in here. I see y'all, man. I see y'all in the building. All 14,000 of you up in here. Shout out to my guy Keith in the building. Oh man, Mr. Brown, be easy, man. You gotta take it easy. Mr. Brown saying he fell over this weekend. Well, we're praying for you still, Mr. Brown. Just tranquilo, my friend. Just relax. Don't overdo it. You're gonna be okay, and hopefully you recover and spend some time enjoying the holidays as well. Yeah, you guys, I think, would be surprised at how many people are walking amongst us who you may even know or interact with that struggle with these type of issues, that struggle with mental health, that struggle and have been maybe even diagnosed with schizophrenia. Scary, man. Very scary times. And if you got somebody, if you got somebody that you're interacting with, that you never know when something like this could happen or what could trigger them. We've seen people who have seemed to have no history of mental health issues and then just go off the deep end for whatever reason. Wild stuff. We're going to get into our next topic here and get into Tory Lanez. Again, Tory Lanez is back in the news. This man, Tory Lanez, is not giving up. He's continuing to fight, continuing to appeal because he feels he has been wrongfully convicted and he is in prison and he should not be. I tend to agree. I think this whole Tory Lanez situation is just, there's a lot going on in the background. I won't get into the conspiracy theories of it, but just from the simple fact that this happened in California and happened where it happened and the way it happened could have easily been prevented by Tory Lanez. But also, I'm not seeing how the jury found this man guilty, because you could even hear the testimony from people who are involved in the situation. And it seemed like Tory Lanez was at the wrong place at the wrong time. But Tory Lanez is filing another appeal. We're actually going to get to hear from Tory Lanez himself finally and see how he's feeling about his court case went, him being in prison, and what the appeal process looks like. But before we get into that, let's see what TMZ had to say about Tory Lanez. He said he's plotting a new appeal. No beef with Megan, but I'm innocent. Here's what he says. Tory Lanez is focused on being released from prison after 3 years into his 10-year sentence for his involvement in the 2022 Megan Thee Stallion shooting case. But he believes, because he believes there's new evidence to free him. Well, we can only hope. The embattled Color Violet artist gave his first broadcast interview from prison to NBC News this week and maintained his innocence, citing the newly surfaced evidence is overwhelming. We'll have to wait and see. If you guys don't know or haven't seen what happened and what went down, here's what happened the night Tory Lanez allegedly, or he was found guilty, so he's guilty. Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. This is when it all went down. That's Meg walking backwards after her foot done got shot. And all they knew at this time that somebody was shooting. So if you've been following, you've already seen this before. And then you got the friends getting out of the car, laying down. The police are trying to figure out what is going on. Well, the new evidence stems from Meg's recent defamation trial against blogger Milagro Grams. Tory is seeking the bullet fragments from the shooting that were never turned over. Why? What? And Meg's medical records after Graham's attorney discovered a document that wasn't originally identified in the 2022 trial. Tory told NBC that being violent towards women isn't in his nature, however, or whatsoever, and can't stand how he's now the poster child for batterers. I don't think that's the case. He also believed that he testified at trial the outcome would be different. Tory's legal team plans on filing the appeal next week. His prison experience has been disastrous. He's been stabbed. He most notably faced a nearly fatal prison stabbing that landed him in his current digs on the California Men's Colony, or the CMC. Let's hear from Tory Lanez himself and see what he has to say.
Tonight, rapper Tory Lanez breaking his silence in his first ever broadcast interview from behind bars since being found guilty of shooting Grammy winner Megan Thee Stallion in the foot outside a party in 2020.
I've never been violent towards a woman. I would never hit a woman, let alone shoot a woman.
Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, spoke to NBC News from California Men's Colony, a prison where he's 3 years into a 10-year sentence after being found guilty on 3 felony counts, including assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
There is definitely a very big misconception about me that seems to the public as I'm this monster. And I feel like I was catapulted into this poster child for the unprotection of Black women. And it's just so unlike me. And I've never really had a chance to express that. But you can look at my criminal record. I don't have one. I never had one. And I feel like, you know, that connotation that I would do anything of this monstrous proportion is just, it's completely incorrect and it's wrong.
Lanez declined to testify during his 2022 trial. Do you regret not taking the stand?
I think if I would have taken the stand, the verdict would have definitely been very different.
The rapper's legal team filed an appeal, which was denied in November. But his team is continuing to fight, with plans to file multiple appeals next week, this time with the California Supreme Court, in one claiming newly discovered evidence that they weren't provided during Lanez's 2022 trial, including hundreds of pages of medical records for Megan Thee Stallion, whose real name is Megan Pete, which they allege raise questions about the fragments removed from her foot after surgery. His team argues that the fragments were not provided ahead of trial and that this was.
And again, I don't believe anything that Meg said about this case. I think she lied, and it's been proven that she lied before.
And Pete, which they allege raise questions about the fragments removed from her foot after surgery. His team argues that the fragments were not provided ahead of trial and that this was a violation of due process.
And we didn't have that chance. Or perhaps we could have questioned the doctors differently when they were on stand to impeach them, because it does look suspicious.
But in the appeal denied in November, the court did address the fragments, ruling that the surgeon's testimony was, quote, more than sufficient to prove great bodily injury on Pete. Proving something like this on appeal is tough.
This is a really, really difficult appellate argument for defendants to prove, because they have to show if the evidence actually came into court, the jury would have found differently. It's an uphill battle, and it's something that often torpedoes any defense appellate argument.
The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office and representatives for Megan Thee Stallion have not responded to NBC News' request for comment.
I believe not only that I was wrongfully convicted, but the amount of new evidence that has emerged since that trial, I think, has been overwhelming.
What has life been like in prison for the last couple of years?
Truthfully, I've done my best to keep my head above water, but mentally, I've gone through trauma that I sometimes even struggle with, because I never imagined myself dealing with things that I would have to deal with.
He was stabbed 14 times.
Stabbed 17 times.
17 times.
Almost lost my life.
If you could say something to Megan Thee Stallion today, what would it be?
I think that I wouldn't say something directly to her. I would like that moment to happen in person. We've both gone through a lot. There's this connotation that, like,
to her.
I share this hatred for her, but I don't. I genuinely passed that. I'm at a place of healing in my life. I'm at a place of taking accountability for the things that I did wrong. And when I talk about my case, I don't want it to be taken as me coming at her, because it's not that. I'm just asking for somebody in the system to look at my case and look at the evidence and ask if this was fair.
And with that, Chloe Malas joins us now on set. So, Chloe, Tory Lanez is also seeking a pardon from Governor Gavin Newsom?
That's right. His legal team has filed the necessary paperwork, and it is before the governor now. So they're seeking either a pardon where his criminal record will be wiped clean, he would be released from prison, or to have his sentence commuted, meaning that the time he has served is sufficient, and release him, but that doesn't change his criminal record. As for when this could happen, the governor typically does these twice a year, so this could happen before the new year.
All right.
It's not gonna happen. Gavin, if you know Gavin Newsom, this man is not going to pardon Tory Lanez. Let's get into this last bit of detail from TMZ, and I'm gonna get y'all's thoughts on this. Tory Lanez, I never shot Megan, and I have 60 ways to prove it. So what else is he saying in the details here? Tory Lanez revealed in his first interview from prison last week that he had new evidence favorable to his appeal after his conviction for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. And it turns out the rapper wasn't BSing, and now he's going after the former LA DA. What's going to happen here? Here's the deal. Tory's team submitted an official report to the court with testimony from a software expert who reviewed Megan's medical records after Meg was shot by Tory that fateful night in 2020. After the review, the expert signed the report claiming there were 60 fraudulent errors in the medical findings presented at Tory's 2020 trial by the then LA County District Attorney George Gascon. As you know, Tory was convicted of shooting Meg and sentenced to 10 years in prison. They do not play They do not play with gun violence in California. Tory, though, has always maintained his innocence. According to Tory's team, the most alarming part of the report pertains to a missing document titled Evidence, specifically that a hospital security guard named Derek C, we'll say, has bagged, tagged, and transferred foreign bodies, bullet fragments, to the hospital where Meg was treated for her bullet. At the trial, detectives testified that Megan's medical records were supplied to the defense by prosecutors and that no bullet fragments were recovered from the hospital. Was that a lie? But Tory says his report throws all that testimony into question. The report also notes numerous irregularities, such as altered or overwritten text, QR codes that don't work, bogus signatures, inconsistent document formatting, and missing and repeated pages with the date and time contradictions. What's more, the report says roughly 300 additional pages of information were withheld from the defense. If that's the case, ooh-wee. Furthermore, Tory Lane's lawyers say the surgeon, Dr. Little, that's funny considering Tory's stature, either way, failed to testify during the trial and now cannot be found. What? Oh my. As you know, Tory sat for his first on-cam interview last Friday, which we just heard since the conviction, and he talked about the case with NBC News reporters, saying at one point they were never provided with hundreds of pages of Megan's medical records that hurt their defense at trial. We reached out to the DA and Megan's team. So far, no word back. So we're going to keep up to date on this. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Is this going to be Tory Lane's chance? Please do not put anything on the fact that Gavin Newsom is going to pardon this man. It's not going to happen. But we'll wait and see what evidence comes out as a result of this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. We still got 14,000 of y'all in here. I know y'all want to hear about Cardi B. We're going to talk about Cardi B coming up here in a second. This is Dr. Doolittle. Yeah. Gavin Newsom loves Meg. Yeah, Gavin Newsom. I'm not going to go there. I think Tory shot her, but I don't believe it was enough evidence proven beyond a reasonable doubt, though. That case was a sham, an absolute sham. Jay Buckmaster, good morning, my friend. Good to see you in here. Good afternoon. Dr. Doolittle is crazy, man. Y'all don't do Tory Lanez like that. That's pretty wild. Dr. Little is pretty funny, though. Little's, I guess, a common last name. Oh, yeah, no pardon. No, he is not getting pardoned. He is not getting pardoned. Now, we're going to talk about this Cardi B lawsuit in a minute. I'm not going to reveal the source on this because I don't know if they want me to say who it is or not. But this Cardi B lawsuit is very, 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 very interesting. And we're going to talk about it here in a second. If y'all haven't heard about this, I'm not surprised because a lot of this information is not being publicized. And I think for a good reason. We're going to talk about it here coming up shortly. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Again, if y'all haven't liked the video on your way in, please make sure you like the video on your way in. I know nearly almost all of y'all have liked the video, so I'll stop begging for a little bit, okay? I'll give y'all 5 minutes. I'll give you to the end of the segment, and then I'll stop begging. 1,100 of you have liked the video. That is amazing. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. I mean it when I say it helps the channel a lot, so thank y'all for the support. Let me get my comments back up here, and then we can get into this one because this is very, very interesting. Shout out to Amy with the super chat. Reminding me not only that she has the cakiest cake that ever caked in the building, but I need to make sure I get some lunch soon. We still got a lot to get into, so I don't know if lunch is coming anytime soon. But shout out to Amy. Bring that cake over here, man. Dang. Over there teasing me. I would be amazing right now, but we're gonna have to wait. We got work to do. Let's get into it. All right, so this Cardi B lawsuit is very interesting and it hasn't been discussed and talked about a lot. So we're bringing you somewhat of an exclusive here with this lawsuit, and I want to shout out to the person who sent this over to me. This lawsuit's very interesting, and I want you guys to look at what's being said here and ask yourself, why is this something that's not being talked about? Why isn't it in the news? because some of the allegations in this are going to be surprising to a lot of you. And I'll mention some names that I know pretty well as well, especially being here in Atlanta, and we'll get into it in a second. But I want to read part of this email. All right, it says, "Hi, ClassE Beats." I'm not going to read that part. "This is a high-profile case involving Warner Brothers, Atlantic, and Cardi B. Also, OG Parker, I'm going to mention, is Atlanta native from right here in Fulton County. I've seen that on their end. They have been hard at work to suppress this story, and we are having none of it on this channel because of its major implications. I'm going to skip this part because I don't want to give away who it is. And they say, let me know if you want to report on this. They would appreciate me sharing the information. And also they send over the case information here as well. So we're going to get into it. We're going to go through the entire lawsuit, and I want to know what y'all think about this. Also, if you could do your part and share this information, because the fact that this is being suppressed and it's not being talked about, I find quite interesting, because it's very interesting. Let's get into it. To the honorable judge of said court comes now the plaintiff, Joshua F., because I'm going to mess up Joshua's name. Josh, if you're watching, I apologize. And then we've got Miguel A., because I'm going to mess that name up too. And shout out to Miguel. And says, by and through their attorney, Robert R. Flores, and for their complaint against the defendants, we've got Cardi B, we've got OG Parker, and then we've got DJ Swan. All right. Celebrity booking agency, Atlanta Records, and Warner Music Group. Why is no one talking about this? We got the jurisdiction and venue. Obviously, they're trying to get their money back. Let's go ahead and find out why. What is happening? Diversity jurisdiction also applies under 28 USC 1332 at the amount in courtesy exceeding $75,000, and the parties and citizens of different states, plaintiff Joshua F., and the citizen of Texas, and plaintiff Miguel A., the citizen of California. While defendants Cardi B, DJ Swan are citizens of New York, OG Parker, of course, right here in Atlanta, and the celebrity booking agency, Atlanta Records, and Warner Music Group are the parties. The venue is in proper Southern District of Texas, and that's where this is being filed. We're not going to go to the parties here. We'll get into that a little bit later, but let's go down and go to the factual allegations. What happened? So the plaintiffs, they created the song. The song is called Greasy Fry Bread. I'm not going to play it, and we're not going to get into it because we don't want to have issues. Greasy Fry Bread in 2021, and it was released under the label Tattoo Music Group on November 9th of 2021. The song has been used in the FX hit series Res Dogs and is registered on Spotify. Defendant Cardi B, along with other defendants, has used the song in her new album without permission. Oh no. Shocker. This happened. Guys, many of you may know, some of you may not know. I got my start on YouTube and content creation based on my experience in the music industry, based on being a music producer, a musician, an artist, working with other artists. We see this all the time, unfortunately. Things don't get used. Things sit on the shelf. Writers don't get credit. These writers, it's a tough time for writers right now. And they get so much abuse in situations like this because, as you guys may very well know, the music industry moves so slow. It is the slowest moving industry I believe I have seen. Slower than the legal system, which is crazy. Because a lot of these situations involve the legal system, and these record labels, these artists are pretty much able to do whatever they want to. And the only way for you to go through it is to file a lawsuit. So by the time you file a lawsuit, this song is doing numbers, it's charting, it's everywhere. You file the lawsuit, and there's no point even talking about it. And this happens all the time. It's so sad to see. And I hate this, especially for the writers and even producers. It happens to a lot as well. And then people in the music industry, like a OG Parker, like a Cardi B, who've been victim of this themselves. Having this happen is just sad to see. Anyway, I could sit here and talk about stuff being used without permission all day. I don't want to get on my soapbox about that. But Cardi B, along with other defendants, has used the song in her new album without permission. Happens every day. The song Enough Miami by Cardi B was released under the label Atlantic Records in March of last year. So we have the first count of copyright infringement. What happened? Defendants have infringed the plaintiff's copyright in the musical composition Greasy Fry Bread by reproducing, distributing, and publicly performing the infringing work in violation of 17 USC 106. Basically, what ends up happening is a producer, an artist, will get an idea. Let's say an artist gets a reference track. They get an idea. Or let's say an artist gets, in this case, a beat from a producer. A lot of times what you'll see in the music industry is I'll make a beat for Lil Wayne. Now, I don't want to use Lil Wayne. That's the GOAT. It's not a good example. I'll give a beat to, let's just say, Lil TT, right? And Lil TT will take my beat. He'll hear it. We'll be in the studio. He'll listen to it. Yeah, this is dope. Then what'll happen, Lil TT will send that beat to somebody else. They will recreate the beat. And then I won't get credit for it. Again, happens every single day, God, every single day in the music industry. And so many hits have been created off of tracks that are off of instrumentals that have been created by one producer. Another producer recreates it, and then they don't get any credit to that producer. Now, there's reasons that happens. A lot of reasons is because of the contracts. It's easier for the artist to go through a producer that they know, do that producer a favor, or somebody that is at the record label so they don't have to give away a certain percentage of their royalties. If you give the original producer credit for their royalties, then you're going to have to give them another percentage. And a lot of these artists, even a Cardi B, doesn't get that much off of their own music anyway when it comes to a percentage. So that's most likely what has happened here. Defendants have infringed on the plaintiff's copyright in the musical composition of Greasy Fry Bread by reproducing, distributing, and publicly performing the infringing work in violation of those codes. The Supreme Court held that the originality and creativity are the touchstones of copyright protection. Plaintiff's work meets these criteria and is thus protected as the direct and proximate result of the defendant's infringement. The plaintiffs are entitled to damages and the defendant's profits in the amount to be proven at trial. Obviously, the success of the song will be factored in here. Vicarious infringement. What is that? Defendants Atlantic Record and Warner Music Group have the right and ability to supervise the infringing activity, and also having a direct financial interest in such activities are liable for vicarious infringement, basically saying the record label turning a blind eye to me being in the studio of Lil TT, giving them a beat, Lil TT giving the beat to OG Parker. OG said, oh yeah, let me fix this real quick. Changed a couple things up. I don't get my credit. Record labels know what's going on. Is it encouraged by the record label? No. Do they have plausible deniability? Who knows? The law is crazy. And Fonovisa Incorporated versus, we'll say, Cherry Oxen Incorporated, the court held that the party can be held vicariously liable for the infringing acts of another if they have the right and ability to supervise the infringing activity and direct financial interest in such activities. Happens all the time. Contributory infringement. Defendants Atlantic Record and Warner Music Group, with knowledge of the infringing activity, induced, caused, or materially contributed to the infringing conduct of another and are liable for contributory infringement. The court held that one who, with knowledge of the infringing activity, induces, causes, or materially contributes to the infringing conduct of another may be held liable as a contributory infringer. Unfair competition. Defendants' actions have caused confusion amongst consumers or harmed the plaintiff's business reputation, constituting unfair competition. This is tough as well. Things are so touchy as an artist, as a music producer. A lot of producers will let this stuff go. A lot of producers, they'll get a beat, they'll hear the beat, and they'll just say, I'll just take the credit. I'll make a little YouTube video that says, hey, here's how I made, what's the name of this song again? Here's how I made this song by Cardi B, Greasy Fry Bread. And I was the one who made the loop on this. And then they'll leave it alone and they'll ride off into the sunset with just credit. And a lot in the producer community have been fighting for more producers to speak out against this and stop being afraid of being blacklisted or blackballed from the industry and never being able to get in the studio again with an artist. You can still fight for your rights and have a good relationship with the artist. We see it happen all the time. I think the issue comes from the producers trying to handle things themselves, because usually the artist, I will say this many times, an artist doesn't know what's going on, especially if you're dealing with the artist at this level. They'll say, I like this beat, make it happen. And then somebody on their team will be the one actually doing this. Sometimes it's going to be the artist. I'm not going to say Cardi B didn't have a part in this, but a lot of times they don't. What else did they say? Unfair competition involves a false designation of origin, false or misleading description of a fact, or false or misleading representation of a fact, which is likely to cause confusion or deceive as to the affiliation, connection, or association of such persons with another person. They've got misappropriation. They've got temporary restraining order. What? The plaintiff seeks a temporary restraining order to immediately halt the ongoing infringement of the plaintiff's copyright in the musical composition Greasy Fry Bread. Given the ongoing nature of the infringement, immediate and irreparable harm is being caused to the plaintiffs. A TRO is necessary to prevent further distribution and public performance of the infringing work. Unfortunately, that ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I would be surprised. I would be shocked if that happens, because these record labels usually have a way of making this go and keeping that music up there. It's very rare. You can even file a DMC, and in a lot of cases, the record label has the power to just keep this thing going until it's decided by a judge, which most people don't have the will, they don't have the power, they don't have the resources to see this all the way through. They've got an application for a temporary injunction and permanent injunction. Declaration of relief. So what are we looking for here? The plaintiff's prayer for relief is this. Wherefore, plaintiff respectfully requests that this court enter judgment in their favors and against defendants, granting the following relief. Statutory damages for willful infringement pursuant to 17 U.S. 504. They want a temporary restraining order, an order requiring the defendant to recall and destroy all infringing copies. I wish. An award of the plaintiff's money, fees, and cost pursuant to 505. A declaratory relief establishing the plaintiff's ownership of the copyright in the material composition Greasy Fry Bread, and such other and further relief as this court may deem just and improper. I wish there would have been more in here about what actually happened and what went down, because I have a feeling the reason OG Parker is mentioned in this is because he was the producer that switched up everything and did exactly what I was talking about. And then we've got some other sworn declarations as well. And let me double check and see if we have any more information in here. So this is what one defendant said, and we heard a little bit of that earlier. We got a sworn declaration from Miguel here as well. And then Miguel said, yes, this is true. And they used their content without their permission. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. I find this interesting. It's not being talked about a lot. We're going to continue to cover this here and see how this moves forward, because again, unfortunately, you see this happen every single day in the music industry. And I hope Josh, I hope Miguel, they seek justice from this, because they put a lot of work into their craft. And I don't know why. It's sad to see how greedy some of these record labels and even some of these artists can be in this case. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Thank y'all again to everybody's in there for this exclusive. Nobody's talking about this. I hate that. And it's a shame, man. Shout out to Poetic Justice with the super chat in here. Dropping the 5 bomb, says, happy holidays. Same to you, Poetic Justice. And we need more people like Poetic Justice in the community. There are times when me and Poetic Justice agree. There are times when we disagree, but we always keep the conversation respectful. That's what I want to have here. I want to be able to have back and forth. I want to be able to have conversations to where we can agree to disagree. Each can share their side and give their thoughts and opinions, and we keep it moving. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad, Poetic Justice, you're a part of that. And you stuck with us even though we have differing views, man. Shout out to Poetic Justice. I love to see it. Love to see it. Thank you for the support, too. That's awesome. We still got 14,000 of y'all up in this thing. We're going to keep it moving because, like I said, we've got a lot to get into. Now, we'll have a ton of content for y'all tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're going to do a live stream tomorrow because, you know, it's Christmas. We're going to be doing some Christmas things. But make sure y'all stay locked in for that. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time. We go live, we drop a new video, we drop a premiere. We're publishing about 10 videos a day in case y'all haven't noticed. So if you're subscribed, you're probably sick of us by now, but hey, we putting in that work. You know what I'm saying? We're building over here. And we got a lot more coming for y'all in 2026 too, so stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get into this because this is going to be a fun one. We've talked about everything that went on with the election interference case. Fani Willis caught an L, and she had to go before the Senate committee, even after catching an L, and give them some information as to why she conducted herself the way she did, why she brought this BS, bogus indictment against the president and multiple others in the first place. Part of this indictment included, yes, the former mayor of New York and attorney for President Trump at one point, Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani, he actually lost and reached a settlement with two poll workers, I shouldn't say, that's wild. Hey, yo. Two election poll workers, all right, that were, give me a second, that were involved in the Georgia election. And what happened was Rudy Giuliani, he came and he spoke out against the company that were used to count the ballots here in Fulton County and in Georgia. Then there were these two women who were in charge of running the elections here at certain sites. There was some back and forth. Rudy Giuliani accused them of legal misconduct, of election misconduct, election tampering. He accused the company that was used to count the ballots of some wrongdoing. He eventually was served with a $1 billion lawsuit, and he ended up having to pay the two women $148 million for this settlement. So it was settled, didn't end up going to court, and now we're here. Now, Rudy Giuliani is hearing, as we heard and reported here on the channel, that it was true that there were over 300,000 votes that weren't certified, weren't signed off on in Fulton County. And he's got something to say about it. So we've got a couple of things here, and we're going to hear from Rudy Giuliani himself on what he has to say about Fulton County and Fani Willis when it comes to this election interference situation. What does he say? This person says, Rudy was right. Rudy Giuliani in 2020 says the vote as it presently exists is false. It's fraudulent. If they certify it, they are certifying false statements to the United States of America. When I was a prosecutor, that was a federal crime. Let's hear him out and see what he has to say here. Let's quickly.
If they certify it, they are certifying a false statement to the United States of America. Gosh, when I was a prosecutor, that was a federal crime. I mean, the one thing you will come away with here is the vote as it presently exists is false. It's fraudulent. If they certify it, they are certifying a false statement to the United States of America. Gosh, when I was a prosecutor, that was a federal crime. I mean, the one thing you will come away with.
This was back when everything went down. Also, there's more video that's resurfacing of what went on during this entire election. Check this out from KC. Says, here's a reminder. They demanded that you ignore what happened in Fulton County, right here in Fulton County in Georgia, where the room was cleared at 10:30 p.m. due to supposed water main break. Then people stayed behind as thousands of ballots were pulled from under the tables and suitcases and scanned. Not only that, but there's even video of certain ballots being run multiple times. Yes, this is real. This is not AI.
8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind talking now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table.
What is up with that?
Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out.
And nobody cared. Nobody cared.
8 o'clock in the morning.
So now let's go ahead and hear from Rudy Giuliani himself after he tweeted, "Told you so." He knew. Is this man going to get his money back? I feel like he should. Let's see what he had to say about this.
Well, Fulton County, Georgia.
Man.
315,000 ballots that weren't authorized, that nobody knows where they came from in Fulton County. If it voted at all similar to everybody else in Fulton County, which was 65% for well, it would be.
Dang.
It was about separation of 11%, right, Ted?
Yes.
So it wasn't. It was like, I don't know if they hit 50. It was like 49.7 to 48 point something, and here we have 315,000 votes that were not tabulated. They were illegally certified. They were tabulated.
Right.
But they were excluded from the final votes. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. But the fact is that Fulton County has screwed up this election in so many different ways that they're going to have to pay damages on this. Because this lawsuit they knew was a phony lawsuit from the very beginning. Look at the horrible illegal arrangements they made to do it with her boyfriend and taking money so she could make money on it. And going off on these vacations in the middle of this important case with the money that she was sucking out of the phony manipulation.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say something else. This segment has gone off the rails. What are we talking about here? Shout out to Rudy.
Of the Federal Criminal Assistance Act. So there's a lot here.
I'm too immature.
And the thing that drives me crazy is it didn't take so long for them to indict Trump and
everyone.
Eastman, Mark Meadows, a lot of people you don't know.
Our electors in Michigan.
This has been going on now with her for 2.5 years.
Honestly, I feel like if we're going to do an in-depth deep dive podcast, I would think that this would be a topic worth exploring for sure. If you would be willing to sit down, I'd be willing to.
Yeah, I mean, she has been getting away with this now. She's the sitting DA.
He's talking about Fannie Willis, by the way,
deciding who to prosecute, and she brought this case based on a statement she knew was, I think, she knew had serious questions about it, unless Raffensperger didn't tell her. May not have even given her all the tapes. We have.
Which that's another can of worms.
I hope we get a chance to vindicate that, because we have a chance of getting 12 minutes of tapes on that morning.
Oh my gosh. And to think what everyone lived through.
Is that going to happen? I don't know.
All right. Well, Mayor, we have a very special guest joining the show. We want to make sure he's ready to go here.
That's right.
And we're not going to get into that by Rudy Giuliani. My question for Rudy is he going to be able to get his money back? Because a lot of the reason the lawsuit was filed, it was defamation. It was said that he ruined Mrs. Moss's career. He ruined her reputation and ruined her name. And that's why he had to pay the amount he had to pay. Is he going to be able to get this dismissed? Are there going to be any more court filings as a result of this? We'll have to wait and see from Rudy. He's not feeling Fannie Willis at all. Hey, man, I understand, Rudy. I understand. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. I'm glad he's finally speaking up, though. He said someone called Rudy a small man in search of a balcony. Listen, we got to give credit where credit is due. And Rudy called this. Rudy called this. He said something is happening here. Something's going on. It doesn't look right. It doesn't smell right. It doesn't seem right. And then we've got the election. We've got the elections board, the attorney over there saying, yeah, well, we messed up. It was a procedural error. Come on, man. Who needs mature commentators? I'm sorry, y'all. I try to be mature so much, but it's hard, man. I'd be struggling up here. Shout out to Rudy, man. I appreciate y'all for sticking around because I got to grow up one of these days. Today is not that day. We got another interesting case for you guys. We're going to get into it here shortly. This one is wild. I don't know how many of y'all have heard about Kelsey Fitzsimmons, but man, Amy put me on to this story and this is absolutely insane. Thank God she's still alive, but wow, this case is crazy. So if y'all haven't heard about it, we're going to get into it. Again, thank you to everyone that's liked the video so far. I had it pulled up to see how many of y'all have liked the video, but I know it's close to 1,200 of you that have done that so far. So thank y'all for the love. Thank y'all for the support. Let's go ahead and get into our next topic. So if you haven't heard about this Kelsey Fitzsimmons case, it is absolutely wild. I'm going to read this breakdown here from our awesome, amazing Amy. Make sure y'all check her out over on X. If you haven't followed her yet, you can follow Amy at IAMYLEIGH on X. That's at Amy on X. And we're going to get into this case of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Police officer was shot by another police officer and then she got arrested. It gets crazy. All right. What does Amy have to say about Kelsey Fitzsimmons? This is police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons, 28, of North Andover, Massachusetts. On June 30th, 3 of her colleagues showed up at her home to serve a restraining order. It was filed by her firefighter fiance and the father of her 4-month-old baby. Something happened while being served, and Kelsey was shot once in the chest by a fellow officer. Here's the key, Amy says. When you're served a restraining order in Massachusetts, it's standard procedure for law enforcement officers serving the order to immediately require the defendant surrender all firearms, and that's what Kelsey says she did. Then she was shot. The prosecutor has been very vague about exactly what happened, but Fitzsimmons is now speaking up. In a statement released by her attorney, Kelsey says she never pointed the firearm at anyone. I want to make one thing clear. Kelsey was suffering from postpartum depression and was on administrative leave to get help. That's sad. Her fiance filed the restraining order, claiming he feared for the safety of their child. But Fitzsimmons acknowledges she was struggling. From the very beginning, she says, I acknowledged my diagnosis of postpartum depression and immediately sought help from medical professionals. I was failed by so many. The narrative released by NAPD is vague and non-committal for a reason. If body cameras had been worn by my department, I would not be in a position where I'm wrongfully accused of pointing a gun at an officer. I know the truth will prevail, she said. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is charged with intent to murder and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. Guys, if this is not your sign to get some home security system, get Ring cameras, go with whoever you need to go with. Please just get some in-home security because you just never know. Also, it's a good deterrent in a lot of cases as well. Because clearly Kelsey didn't have that here or she wouldn't be asking about body cam footage. Let's get some more details into what happened. Check this out.
Investigation is underway after an off-duty police officer is shot in North Andover.
DA's office says another officer opened fire on their colleague, that is. Boston 25 News reporter Ryan Breslin is live in North Andover this morning with what investigators say led up to the shooting. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning to you, Gene. We're told that this was an armed confrontation at the home of the off-duty North Andover police officer. The Essex County District Attorney says that it all happened around 6:30 last night at the home when another North Andover police officer was serving a court order at the house. There was some kind of armed confrontation, and the on-duty officer fired their guns, striking and wounding the off-duty officer. That injured person was taken to a Boston area hospital. We do not know their condition or their injuries. So far, the DA's office, they have not identified that off-duty officer, but we know that they are investigating this shooting with the help of Massachusetts State Police detectives. We, of course, are still working to confirm more details in this shooting. We're now live in North Andover. Ryan Breslin for your local station, Boston 25 News.
So we've got more information about what happened, and of course, Kelsey was suspended as a result of this as well.
The North Andover police officer shot by members of her own department during a standoff is now suspended and facing charges. The Essex County DA charged Officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons with assault to murder and assault with a deadly weapon. The state's Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission also decertified Fitzsimmons on Monday. On June 30th, investigators say officers shot Fitzsimmons in the chest while trying to serve a restraining order. She is still at a Boston hospital. Her fiance and father of their 4-month-old child filed the restraining order. Fitzsimmons was on leave at the time of the incident. Her attorney says she's dealing with postpartum depression.
And it's sad because this poor woman had her first court appearance from a hospital. Right, y'all see the picture up in the top left corner. She had her first court appearance from a hospital after she had been shot. Absolutely insane. So now we've got new information about what went on and what happened during this altercation.
As we brought you this as breaking news last night, an off-duty North Andover police officer was shot by another officer, and tonight new details are emerging. Kelsey Fitzsimmons was diagnosed with postpartum depression in March and had been off the job. Our Michael Rosenfield is live for us in North Andover. He's got the new developments. Michael, how is that officer doing tonight?
Well, Colton, tonight that police officer who was shot is in stable condition, but we don't know exactly what kind of injury she's dealing with. The incident happened right here at her own home here in North Andover last night. 3 North Andover police officers were attempting to serve a restraining order on one of their fellow officers, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Monday evening. They showed up at her home just after 6 p.m.
When one of the officers was escorting Ms. Fitzsimmons during the service of the court order, an armed confrontation took place.
It's unclear what exactly happened.
Are y'all buying it?
But one of the officers fired their weapon, hitting Fitzsimmons once. She's currently in stable condition.
There are lots of pieces to be put together. There's lots of things that remain unanswered.
The restraining order had been filed by the fiance of Officer Fitzsimmons, who wrote in court documents, quote, "I strongly believe Ms. Fitzsimmons will cause physical harm and emotional to our child." The fiance said in court documents that Fitzsimmons hit him on his face Saturday night with a closed fist 3 times. He wrote, "I fear that she will kill the baby at any moment." Court records reveal a troubling several months. That after Fitzsimmons gave birth back in February, police responded to her home in March for, quote, "female having a mental health episode." She was diagnosed with postpartum depression and deemed unsuitable to carry a firearm because she'd been committed to a hospital or institution. 2 weeks ago, she was cleared to return to duty by a medical professional, and her license to carry a firearm was reinstated. But then the alleged violence over the weekend involving her fiance, followed by Monday night's confrontation with her fellow officers.
I mean, this could have been a lot worse, especially hearing what Kelsey said, that so many people failed her. This is someone who's crying out for help and just got cleared to return to work after that situation.
Serving restraining orders, court-approved restraining orders, are sometimes some of the most dangerous duties that police officers uncover.
Yeah, I believe it.
The fiance has now filed for sole custody of the child, given what happened last night. We did reach out to the officer's family this evening, but they declined to comment. We're live in North Andover.
So last thing we'll get into, and then I want to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Of course, we're going to be covering this trial as it goes along. But it's looking like that Kelsey is going to also lose custody of her child. Obviously, with this situation happening, it somewhat makes sense. And she's still being detained as we speak. Check this out.
Only NBC 10 Boston was in the courtroom as a North Andover police officer faced a judge today. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is accused of aiming a gun at her fellow officers before she was shot by one of them back in June.
Today, Fitzsimmons was fighting for custody of her child. NBC 10's Robert Golston was the only TV reporter there. He's live in Salem now with what happened today. Robert.
Glenn and JC, yes, this was the first time since the shooting that she was in the same room as her ex-fiance. And as you recall, he was the one who requested and was granted that restraining order that set off the events on June 30th when she was nearly killed. Kelsey Fitzsimmons appeared in Essex Probate and Family Court as she continues to fight to be reconnected with her infant son. She appeared with both her family and criminal attorneys.
It's a tough atmosphere, but, you know, she's going to be fine.
Fitzsimmons, who remains in custody, is working to resolve child custody and visitation issues.
I will say that the provisions that are in the stipulation are moving toward a reconnection with her and her son. It's positive steps, and I'm happy to say that both sides were on the same page for that.
Fitzsimmons is charged with assault with a dangerous weapon. North Andover police say they were serving a restraining order taken out by her fiancé at the time when Fitzsimmons, who was off duty, pointed the gun at an officer. Fitzsimmons and her attorneys contend the gun was never pointed at the officers when she was shot. Her attorneys are petitioning the state's highest court to reassess her release.
She's up.
And just to think, it's basically her word versus the officers. They didn't have body cam footage. So the fact that she's sitting in jail because they said, no, she pointed at us. No, I didn't point it at you. Sad, man.
Her attorneys are petitioning the state's highest court to reassess her release.
She's up. She's encouraged that things are moving along. She's very happy to hear that we're going to be getting some, we're going to be heard in the Supreme Judicial Court very soon.
Fitzsimmons was initially released after her arrest, but was taken back into custody for not submitting a required breathalyzer test for alcohol. Her attorneys argue she could not do the test because she continues to deal with lung and chest issues from the shooting. Her attorney says family and supporters have been keeping her focused.
Kelsey's devoted her entire life to two things: her baby and her law enforcement career, and she's gonna keep her eye on the ball, and we're gonna get her there.
Wow. And back on the criminal side, she will be back in court later this month for that matter on the 25th. We're live tonight in Salem. Robert Goulston, NBC.
All right, shout out to NBC News 10. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Is this a case you want to see us follow? I'm very interested in investing in this case, and thanks to Amy for sending over this information. A lot of information needs to be given here, and I find it shocking that she is in jail. Just because we have an officer's word of what happened, she says it didn't happen. Sad to see, man. Let me know what y'all think. Excuse me. And we've got another update. We're going to actually get into some of the legal documents surrounding this case as well. Again, Amy doing her thing. Shout out to Amy, man. I know she gets some credit. She doesn't get enough credit, though. Y'all show Amy some love in here. Cop word against a cop word. I love it. Dang, that's tough, but I see. Hey, I feel you. I'm shocked. Guys, listen, we talk. It's just so different depending on the state that you're in. I'm shocked that she's in jail. Yes, because she's a police officer. She's a cop. 1. 2, it's her word against their word. Right. And 3, you look at LA, who has some of the most strict gun laws, strict murder laws, strict laws in general in the nation. And we've got Celeste Rivas's body chopped up, dismembered, sitting in the front of the trunk of somebody's car. And this man is still roaming free 4 or 5 months later. And this lady allegedly pulls a gun, doesn't fire any shots, and she's in jail. I mean, come on. I know it's a common one. I know. Is California more strict than New Jersey on guns? It's probably a tie. New York's pretty strict too. New York, New Jersey, California. It's close. I'll say it's a tie right now. Jersey's bad. Jersey's bad. Yeah. If a cop doesn't have body cam, civilians shouldn't be charged for things like this. It's literally he said, she said. Literally. It should be treated like if a cop doesn't read their Miranda rights. And no shots were fired except by the cop. Isn't that the crazy thing? She got oh man. 10 years per bullet in the clip as well. Oh Lord. Are you serious? I knew New Jersey was bad, but that's crazy. I think California, it might be close from the things I've seen. Yeah, California is more strict than Jersey. It's pretty strict. I mean, it takes an act of Congress, your DNA, your firstborn child to even legally carry a gun in California. So, man, yeah, it's all bad. It's a national thing when it comes to gun laws. But yeah, those states, New York, New Jersey, California. What's another one that's really bad? It's on the East Coast too. I'm trying to think of it. And plus Jersey has no license to carry. I think that's the thing that would probably make it worse than California. California, they're like, y'all ain't getting guns. Jersey's like, oh yeah, you can have a gun, but if you use it, we're gonna have problems. Oh man, it's tough out here. Let's get into this next one. We're still talking about Kelsey. And this is just a tough situation overall. And again, we've got to give a big shout out to Amy for sharing this information on Kelsey Fitzsimmons, because we've got an update when it comes to, will Kelsey still have to stay in jail, or will she get an opportunity to see her son again, to get her day in court without being, I can imagine what she's going through in jail. But Amy posted this over on X. If you don't follow Amy, please make sure you do that. She's got a lot of great content over there, great news, at IAMYLEIGH on X. That's at IAmyLee on X. She says today, December 22nd, that was yesterday, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts affirmed Judge McCarthy Newman's unconstitutional imprisonment of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. We just talked about this in the last segment. How is this woman in jail? It's crazy. This means that Kelsey will remain incarcerated until either new evidence is presented or until her trial begins in 2026. Just like with Karen Reed, the Massachusetts government wants Kelsey to plead guilty, so this can all go away. No surprise here, just further evidence that the state of Massachusetts has not evolved much in 400 years. And Amy also sent over this document, and we're going to get into it shortly. Sad to see Kelsey's dealing with this. And obviously, if she did this, I mean, the police officers are lucky that they got away with their lives, but she was shot. She's a police officer. It seems like if she wanted to shoot them, or she was going to shoot them, they would have been shot. Who knows? Maybe they had their guards up because of the allegations against her. Pre-trial detention, assault by means of a dangerous weapon, the Supreme Judicial Court Superintendent of Inferior Courts. What did they say? The petitioner, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, appeals from the judge of a single justice of this court denying her petition for extraordinary relief pursuant to 211. We affirm. Here's the background. Kelsey Fitzsimmons stands indicted in the Superior Court of Essex County on one count of assault by the means of a dangerous weapon in violation of 265 in connection with an incident in which the Commonwealth alleges that on June 30th, 2025, Kelsey, who is a North Andover police officer, was served by police with an abuse prevention order, or a TRO, or TPO. And after deceiving officers about the location of firearms in her home, she drew a firearm, pointed it at one of the officers, and pulled the trigger. What? How? When the firearm did not discharge, Fitzsimmons. Guys, all right. Was it God? Okay. We'll just keep going. The firearm did not discharge. Fitzsimmons allegedly attempted to rack a round of ammunition. You can't just pick up a gun, even if it has ammo in it, and fire it. Well, depending on the weapon. You can't just pick it up and fire it. You got to rack it. Then you can shoot and fire. Most police officers, from what I understand, are trained to have their guns already racked anyway. So I find this shocking and, to be blunt, highly unbelievable. During which time the officer twice yelled, "Kelsey, don't do it!" Or other words, effectively instructing Fitzsimmons to drop the firearm. The officer then shot Fitzsimmons in the chest. She's lucky to be alive. Fitzsimmons was originally charged in the district court with 1 count of armed assault with the intent to murder in violation of 265 and 2 counts of assault by means of a dangerous weapon. And then we have, on a petition for review, a Superior Court judge likewise found Fitzsimmons dangerous and ordered her detained. The mental health issues probably had a lot to do with it. On August 25th of this year, Fitzsimmons was indicted in the Superior Court. The grand jury declined to indict her on a charge of armed assault with intent to murder, and instead, Fitzsimmons was indicted on a single charge of assault by means of a dangerous weapon in violation of 265. A conviction of that charge carries a state sentence of not more than 5 years. So, I mean, she'll be out eventually. But did she do this? As Amy said in her post, it seems like they're just trying to get a plea. And this woman should not be in jail right now, in my opinion. Take her guns, make sure she's not around the child, fine. But for her to sit in jail, I'm not buying it. As it has in the district court, the Commonwealth moved for detention on the basis dangerous pursuant to 276. In support of its request, the Commonwealth submitted a number of documents, including a police report detailing the June 30th shooting incident. Yeah, her word versus the police versus the Commonwealth. Yeah, okay. As described, Supra, as well as an affidavit and witness statements concerning the incident and the alleged events leading up to it. In one such statement, Fitzsimmons' former fiance alleged that at a party on June 28th of this year, Fitzsimmons became intoxicated and violent, striking him multiple times, 3 times to be exact, and making self-deletion statements and threatening statements concerning the couple's young child, all of which promoted the former fiance to seek an abuse prevention order. She probably said something, if I had to guess, like, well, if I don't get the baby, nobody gets the baby. Yeah, not okay. He also allegedly warned police that when they served the abuse prevention order on Fitzsimmons, she would attempt to delete the baby, any officer involved, and then herself. These statements are not great leading up to what happened. Another witness statement indicated that Fitzsimmons struggled with mental health issues, aggression, and alcohol abuse. Not great either. The Commonwealth also submitted the affidavit of Fitzsimmons' former fiance in support of the abuse prevention order, which echoed the above described representations and further represented that Fitzsimmons had been sanctioned in the recent past. Not great either. Finally, the Commonwealth submitted an out-of-state criminal history record indicating that Fitzsimmons had been convicted in 2019 of a misdemeanor offense described in the document as intoxicated and disruptive. She's an alcoholic. Hey, can anybody in the chat, if you know someone or if you're from Massachusetts, like, what's the ratio to alcoholics? Is it like, I don't know. Is it 200, 2,000 to 1? Like, there's 1 non-alcoholic to every 2,000 alcoholics. I mean, they be drinking out there. No offense to Massachusetts, but come on, man. In contesting the Commonwealth's motion, Fitzsimmons relied on a letter from a doctor affiliated with the hospital where she had received treatment after the June 30th incident. The letter indicated that while she was initially held to pursuant 123, she no longer met the criteria for involuntary hospitalization and was appropriate for outpatient care. So they patted her on the back, said, hey, take care of yourself. Man. She says, let's see here. Authorized restraint and hospitalization of persons for a limited period, where failure to hospitalize such a person would create a likelihood of serious harm by reason of mental illness. They're saying she's crazy. That's a crazy bitch. Additionally, Fitzsimmons relied on the report of an expert psychologist who concluded that Fitzsimmons posed no credible risk or harm to herself or others, and that the risk of harm from reuniting her with her child was all but non-existent. Remember, we heard from the news report that she got her weapons back and was reinstated and allowed to go back to work. Y'all said beer is in the water in MA? Oh my gosh. After a hearing on August 28th, the hearing judge determined Fitzsimmons to be dangerous, concluding that her release on the personal reconnaissance would not reasonably assure her appearance at future court dates or would endanger the safety of another person or the community, namely her child. And what else does it just say? Nevertheless, pursuant to 276, the hearing judge found that Fitzsimmons could be released subject to the conditions reasonably assuring the community's safety, including, as relevant here, the following. 1, Kelsey was to remain in the custody of her mother and stepfather residing at their home. 2, Kelsey was to remain on 24/7 house arrest, except for medical, court, or attorney's visits, providing 48 hours notice to the Department of Probation in advance of any such visit. Fitzsimmons' location was to be monitored by a global positioning system device, and she was not to be released until the GPS monitoring was in place. Fitzsimmons was to abstain from alcohol and be subject to breath testing by Secure Continuous Remote Alcohol Monitor, or SCRAM. And Fitzsimmons was to follow a treatment plan as provided by 2 specifically named doctors. The hearing judge concluded that these were the least restrictive conditions necessary to assure Fitzsimmons' appearance and protect others. No cash bail was imposed. And the judge said, nah, we good on that. We're going to keep her butt in jail. I'm not going to go through the entirety of this. I'll actually leave a link in the description so y'all can read this. I'll also post it over on the Patreon. Listen, it seems like Kelsey's fighting an uphill battle here. The Commonwealth is against her, and in some cases, it's for good reason. She has a history of not complying. She has a history of the mental health issues. She has a history of being disruptive, which is most likely why she's still in jail. But at the same point, it seems like a lot of he said, she said. I mean, they could just be against her. Her fiance could not be telling the truth, but there must have been enough evidence there. Obviously, they granted the TRO in this situation with the shooting. It's not making sense to me. And y'all know we're not a fan of the Commonwealth in any case. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Wow. We still got 8,000 of y'all in here. Wow. What's going to happen to Kelsey, man? This is a sad situation all around. I mean, maybe we should be thanking the judge in this case, actually doing something right and keeping a person like this off of the streets. But man, her child, I believe her son is 4 months. Don't quote me on that though. I can find out for you right now. I believe her son is it 4 months? Let me see. I believe her son. It's just. I mean, he was born this year. Yeah. So it is between 6 to 8 months. Was born earlier this year. So yeah, he's a little one, very young. And that's where the postpartum allegations come from. So that's why we're seeing that here. Wild and crazy stuff. Let me go ahead and get this next one in here. We're going to talk about y'all's favorite guy, Michael Proctor. Remember him? Now that we're still talking about the Commonwealth, we got to talk about Michael Proctor. Let me see if I can find Karen Reed in here. Because Michael Proctor is back in the news. Michael Proctor, it's looking like he has officially been fired from being I don't know what he was. I'm going to be nice here. From being in law enforcement. Not only that, but this man is banned. He's never coming back. He's going to be a manager at McDonald's for the rest of his career or however long he decides to continue to work. And we've got the documents here talking about what was said to Michael Proctor, what the orders are, and we're going to hear from CBS Boston on exactly what went down. Check this out.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Myler with a WBZ News update. Our top stories: fired state police trooper Michael Proctor, the former lead investigator in the Karen Reed case, has been banned from working in law enforcement in Massachusetts. The commission in charge of the state's police officer standards issued the ban, saying it was in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Officials investigating the Brown University shooting say 2 weapons were found with the gunman body in a Salem, New Hampshire storage unit. One pistol was used in the mass.
Okay, we're not talking about the shooting. Let's go ahead and get into the document. Check this out. So we got the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. What did they say? And this is the post commission that we heard Alan Jackson wrote to trying to get Commissioner Cox on the Brady list or investigated. What did they say? The Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, or they're going to be called the commission moving forward, hereby suspends the law enforcement certification of respondent Michael Proctor. Should have been that way. Took them long enough. I don't know what we're waiting on, but hey, we know the law moves slow. The commission has concluded by a preponderance of the evidence that the suspension is in the best interest of the health and safety and welfare of the public. You don't say. Records indicate that the respondent, formerly associated with the Massachusetts State Police, MSP, is certified by the commission until July 1st of 2026. Not anymore. The respondent's suspension is effective immediately upon receipt of this order. The respondent is hereby directed to surrender, and the respondent's former employing law enforcement agency is directed to collect without delay any outstanding agency issued credentials and equipment that promote and support the performance of functions associated with the service as a law enforcement officer, including but not limited to any uniform, badge, firearm, assigned cruiser, and the use of force instruments such as tasers. Michael Proctor was already in an interview, I believe it was with Dateline or MSNBC, talking about how he was just so traumatized and how it was so upsetting to him that they came and they took his uniforms. They took my uniforms. That was my whole life. They took his cruiser. He was so upset about that. And he said he was going to fight to get it back. Then we found out we got 13 years worth of phone data. And he's like, never mind, guys. I'm good. Yeah, I'll go work at McDonald's. An individual whose certification is suspended by the commission is prohibited for performing police duties and functions in Massachusetts. And a law enforcement agency, as defined in the MGL, must comply with the requirement of the MGL. All rules and regulations by the commission and prohibited from appointing or employing a person as law enforcement officer if the person is not certified by the commission. Pursuant to MGL 6E9A5, a suspension order of the commission issued pursuant to Section 9A shall continue in effect until issuance of a final decision of the commission or until revoked by the commission. He ain't coming back. The executive director shall take the necessary steps to publish the respondent's suspension in any publicly available list and databases published by the commission. And I wonder, I guess since he's not allowed and since he's suspended, I wonder if they will put him on the Brady list just to make double sure. I don't know if that's even necessary, but this is by the vote of the commission on December 18th. That was this week. Margaret R. Hinkle signed this, and it's long overdue. Long overdue. And then we've got the information here. This notice is to Michael Proctor. They've got his information there. And then also, what is going to happen moving forward? Because this is going to talk about exactly what can be done by Michael Proctor, if anything, moving forward. So they say, hey, if you don't like this, here's what you can do. You may request a hearing before the full commission to revoke the suspension before the issuance of a final commission decision. So he might still have some time. Requests are not subject to a time limit for the filing. A suspension order shall continue in effect until issuance issuance of the final decision of the full commission or until revoked by the full commission. Appeals of the full commission's decision are to the superior court. Good luck with that. The single commissioner to stay the suspension. Absent a waiver, such a hearing would be held within 15 days of the effective date of the suspension. Requests must be filed no later than 5 days after the effective date of suspension and may be included a request for an extension of time or a waiver of the right to have a hearing by the single commissioner within 15 days. I want y'all to let me know in the comments in the chat. Do you think Michael Proctor is going to ask for an extension? Do you think he's going to try and get reinstated in this? I think it would be silly at this point. Luckily, he wasn't brought up during the Brian Walsh trial. We were kind of waiting to see if that happened, but there's still a lot of trials that could be affected by this. And we even talked about one of them prior to Brian Walsh. We won't get into that here, but I'll be interested to know if y'all think Michael Proctor is going to actually try and get reinstated, which would be crazy in my opinion. If the single commissioner determines by a preponderance of the evidence that the suspension is not warranted, which it is, the commissioner shall stay the suspense. Appeals of the single commissioner's decision are to the superior court. If you wish to request a hearing, please email the request to post, okay? And then it gives him all the information he has to put in there. Again, I would be surprised if Michael Proctor goes through this. He was already in court trying to get his job back. And then he said, never mind. I think this is probably a bad idea. And then right when that happened, we found out we got 13 years of Michael Proctor's phone data. He thought he deleted it. I think he knew at that point it was over. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Is this the last we've seen of Michael Proctor? Is he going to move states and try and get to law enforcement somewhere else? Crazy thing about law enforcement is that actually is a possibility. Crazy thing about the law, crazy thing about law enforcement, he could possibly move to another state and become a police officer again. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Absolutely wild, wild and crazy stuff. All right, let me see if we're good. Oh, shout out to y'all. Amy said that baby Fitzsimmons is 10 months. Oh, man. He was born in February. Amy also says they definitely be drinking a ton. I think that's an understatement. He's going to try again. He doesn't know how corrupt he doesn't know how to corrupt McDonald's burgers. I'm sure he'll find a way. I'm sure he will find a way. Thank you to everyone who's in here, man. Oh my gosh. Thank y'all so much to all 1,200, nearly 1,200 of you that liked the video. Big shout out to all of you that supported my guy, Mr. Brown, Poetic Justice. Oh, we got one in here from Les Cleaver with the 5 bomb. He says, God bless you all this holiday season. Be safe and love one another as God loves you. Amen. Thank you for the support, Les Cleaver. And I hope you have a blessed and amazing holiday as well. Shout out to my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E in here doing what she does, providing and just bringing in so much value to this channel. Y'all have no idea. I know you see it sometimes, but shout out to Amy in the building as always. I hope y'all have a great Christmas. We're going to be back here on Christmas, so y'all know we don't miss. Make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you look out for the content we'll have for you tomorrow. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live or drop a new video. And like the video on your way out. As always, y'all know what to do. Have a great rest of your day. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Woo. Y'all are amazing, man. Shout out to